fake. Be who you wanna be, cause what makes you unique is your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. Yeah. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning from wherever you are. Welcome to another segment of The Other Woman magazine's Peeling Back the Layers. I am excited. I'm always excited. I meet the most amazing women and men through peeling back the layers. Tonight, Antoinette Lee Toscano, all the way from Colorado, is here with us with an amazing story. She wears so many hats. People ask me, how in the world do you do it? When you meet this woman, how in the world does she do it all? How does she do it? Number one, I'm not even going to try to remember. I wrote it all down. I wrote some of it down. She is an outdoor industry consultant. She'll let us know exactly what that is. She's a freelance writer, a blogger. I know she writes for 2 magazines. I think one is Cultures and Paddling. She's a speaker, motivational speaker, an 11-year Army veteran, producer of Whitewater TV, so many other things. You're going to have to go to her website, go to her blog to find out everything about her. I just told her tonight was our actual first night speaking to one another besides email. Every time I read something about her, if you Google her, you'll see link after link after link after link after link after link. And each link I clicked on told me something different about her. Just an amazing woman. So we only have an hour. Without further ado, I introduce you to Miss Antoinette Lee Toscano.
Hello, everyone from Northern Colorado. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome. What is the weather? What's the temperature in Colorado?
Let's see, I can give you the up to date. It's 63 degrees right now. We haven't had any snow yet, which is kind of unusual for this time of year. We usually get some snow in September, but it feels much colder today. So I've got my fireplace going because I'm chilly.
Now, are you a naturally cold weather person? Do you like cold weather all the way out there in Colorado?
I am an ice fisher woman, so that should tell you how much I love cold.
Oh my goodness.
But my ancestral heritage comes from hot places like Nigeria and Jamaica. So I love the heat too. Heat does not faze me one bit. I am a 4-season person. I can enjoy whatever season I'm in.
That's wonderful. And as I was sharing and doing some marketing and posting, the one thing that came out that stood out for me was the fact of everything that you've done, Antoinette, all these hats that you wear. Where did the brain injury, the spinal injury, and the PTSD fit in? Help us on a timeline with that.
Sure. So I served in the Army for 11 years and during that time, I suffered a brutal sexual assault. It was so violent, and I almost didn't survive it, but I did. I put him in the hospital,
Wow.
and it was so brutal that I couldn't have children afterward. Then
Mm.
later in my military career, I had a traumatic brain injury and a spinal cord injury, but you'll have to read my upcoming memoir to find out how that happened because my publisher will kill me.
Okay.
But my new my I have been a ghostwriter for several years, and as you said, I currently write for a number of magazines and a number of companies in the outdoor industry. But my memoir is titled 4 Hours to Live: A Soldier's Journey of Adoption, Assault, and Advocacy. And so that tells you I've lived a very, I don't know, full life, but also a life full of trauma, both physical and emotional trauma.
Wow. So help me to understand. So this happened, the injuries happened in the Army while you served in the Army.
Right.
How long did it take, Antoinette, with all of the care? You had a service dog, you had full time care, caretaker, um, you used a walker. How long did it take to get where you are now? And surely you're still dealing with some things.
Yeah. Well, first, I like to tell you where I came from. So after leaving the military, I was managing okay. I had a good career. I worked my way up from a IT call center to chief executive officer at a number of companies in the IT industry. And I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, having less mobility. And a big part of my problem stemmed from when you have a traumatic brain injury and a spinal cord injury, you have complications. It's not just one injury, you recover and you go on with your life. But in that recovery process, Western medicine gives you pill after pill after pill after pill and never really looks for solving the root cause of your dis-ease.
Right,
And
right.
eventually those all those different medications started to destroy my kidneys. And I was in kidney failure a couple times
Mm.
and um, just the complications of all the things that happened to me got to the point where I had to have 4 surgeries in 6 years. And at my lowest point, at my worst, I was on my deathbed. I
Wow.
had not left my home for 18 months. I was using a walker, a service dog, a full-time caregiver. My little dog with her big brown eyes was just looking up at me on what I thought was gonna be my deathbed, and she looked very concerned. She wouldn't leave my side, and my dog is very active. She loves to be outdoors, running around. She wouldn't leave my side. She didn't ask for food or water. She just stayed with me, and it looking into her eyes, it felt like she was saying goodbye. And so for a couple of days, I was in my bed, and every time I woke up, I was looking down on myself almost as if I was on the ceiling, and I could smell death, smell it on my
Mm.
skin. I could taste it. I could smell the smell of rotting flesh
On yourself.
on myself. And I felt like my essence, my soul, the thing that makes me uniquely me was hovering over my body, just waiting for this shell to give up so that it can move on into the next existence. And I thought, maybe the next time I close my eyes, I won't open them again. So I
Wow.
made peace. I made peace with the world. I made peace with myself. I made peace with my life. And I was grateful. I was grateful that my adoptive parents came to the Salvation Army and took me in after I'd been given up for adoption at birth. And I was 3.5 years old before I went to their home as a foster child and later adopted. I was grateful that I have been loved. I've known love. I've given love. I've received love. I had awards and accolade. I accomplished things, 3 college degrees, 2 of them after having a brain injury.
Wow.
And I was just grateful and resigned to moving on to my next existence. So I went to sleep thinking, I'm not going to be in this world when I wake up. The next time I have awareness, I'll be somewhere else. But then I woke up at 5 o'clock the next morning and I said, well, guess I'm not dying today. So I might as well get on with it.
Were you alone that night before?
No, my caregiver was there. I was not allowed to be
Okay.
alone.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I woke up, I also felt a tiny bit better. And before this, it had been, I don't know how many weeks that I could only have clear broth and sips of water because I had some sort of condition that no specialist had been diagnosed. And I was just feeling myself dying, basically.
Wow.
But when I woke up that next morning, I felt a little bit better and I decided to get out my journals that my therapist had me create for, I don't know how many years by then, maybe 10. And I looked at my journals and I saw when I did these things, when I was surrounded by these people, when I did this kind of work, I was sick all the time. When I did
Mm.
these things over here, I was happy and healthy and whole and feeling fulfilled. And so, like a good MBA, I got my laptop out and created a spreadsheet and I made a list of things that did serve me, things that did serve me. And I said, I'm not doing any of this anymore. And I'm going to do a whole lot more of these things.
Mhm.
And I'm determined that day I was going to create my new normal. What I realized was the night before when I thought I was dying and I was in gratitude for my life. And then I released this life. Releasing that hold on my old life was the thing that was keeping me back. It
Mm.
was holding me back from wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. So you literally walked away from your life and embraced things that you loved, things that you enjoyed doing. And you know what, Antoinette? So many people live their entire lives going to a job that they don't like. They're in a relationship where they're not happy, and they think that's it. They say, okay, well, this is my life. You chose not to accept that. What do you think was that defining moment in your life to allow you to say, or to give you the courage to say, no more? This is not the life I want.
Believing that I was going to die and then getting another chance at life.
Mm.
That will snap you out. I mean, there were times when I was very hopeless. And even before this period, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to still be here. Like I was in so much emotional pain, so much physical pain from head to toe arthritis. Arthritis for me began in my 30s because of
Wow.
my accident from my
Wow.
neck to my tailbone. And so there were times when I was in so much pain, but when you are really on what felt like, smelled like death's door, I smelled like a rotting corpse. There was no
Wow.
amount of cleaning to get that off.
My
And to
God.
confirm that it wasn't just me, I asked my caregiver, and they're like, they were nice about it, but yeah, something doesn't smell quite right. I've already told your doctor, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, um, and it wasn't a personal hygiene problem. It was the smell of death was setting
Wow.
in.
Had
And
you
so,
already were you familiar with the smell of death? How did you know it was
yes,
so you knew?
mhm,
Okay.
it was a smell that I knew. So it was, I have seen more than one rotting corpse, to be
Wow.
blunt about it. So yeah,
So what was going in your mind emotionally feeling that? That was a defining moment, thinking that you were not going to wake up. So when you wake up to a new day, share with us what you were feeling emotionally, if you can explain in words.
I felt like a rebirth. I felt
Mm.
like today is day one of my life. And so I wanted to take advantage of that. And I felt like I had a brand new lease on life. And, I don't wish that on anyone else. I don't wish anyone else to have a car accident or have a sudden illness or have the loss of a close family member for you to realize how fragile life is and how we
Right.
don't know how many days we have. And I really believe that if I didn't take some action for myself and stop waiting for the medical community to figure out this problem, then I was probably going to die before they could figure it out. Because I
Right.
had gone, I think, almost a month without eating solid food, unable to eat it. My
Mm.
body couldn't process it. And my doctor was like, you are one doctor's visit left from having to be hospitalized because of this. And so when I figured out what it was, I changed my lifestyle. And it really wasn't a lifestyle issue. It was a byproduct of Western medicine that caused a digestive enzyme disorder.
Girl. So you not only took your life in your own hands, you took your health
Absolutely.
in
So
your
my
hands.
relationship with doctors of all kind is this way. I live in this body. I know it better than you do. So you can give me all of the information and I get to make these decisions. You don't get to make decisions for this body. And when I started taking my healthcare in my own hands and being a partner with my healthcare providers rather than allowing them to dictate to me,
Right, right.
then things changed.
I got pom poms over here, girl. Yes. You know, a lot of us are afraid to make that step because that's the way we've been conditioned. Western medicine to believe the doctors know what's best, but you said it. You live in your body. You know your body better than anyone. And to have knocked on death's door, if you don't take your life in your own hands, and you know what? You don't have to have an experience of a near death experience. Some of us are living dead. We live dead lives, and we have no idea what it feels like to live in a healthy body. We have no idea to know what a fulfilled life is. Not a full life, but a fulfilled life where you can actually wake up happy
Mhm.
and at peace with the life you live, your own choices.
Right.
So this is where we're going now, Antoinette. Living your new normal and your biggest life that you can envision. Before you share how we can do that, how did you get to the point where you realized, okay, I want to live my biggest life? What was your biggest life that you envisioned?
You're not going to believe this.
I know I'm not.
Because I have to preface it with a few things because it's going to sound too incredible. But um, aside from this wasn't even on my radar. Like I consider myself, except for I know I have above average intelligence because I've been tested, but generally, everything else about me is squarely average. Average in looks, average in height, average in athletic ability. I'm like squarely average. There is nothing special about me, not a single thing. And it was never on my radar to become a model at 53 years old, an adventure sports model at that. It was never on my radar to become a sponsored adventure sports athlete. And it certainly was not on my radar to get a phone call from an LA casting agent to say, you've been hired or selected for a brand new project. That was not on my radar. I was just living my life. But I got that call last week, right? So
Wow,
thank you so
congratulations.
much. Thank you so much. But in the book, what to say when you talk to yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. He has a name that it's really hard for me to say. Believe it or not, I had a speech impediment when I was young and I had to go to speech therapy. So yeah,
And now you're a motivational speaker.
right.
And you studied under, or should I say, Lisa Nichols,
I
right?
did. Lisa Nichols,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, great. And by the way, you guys are watching, she's standing up. I'm sitting down. She is standing up.
Because I'm full of energy. I am, if I sat down, I'd be moving in my chair so much because I'm used to talking to people, on a stage. So, but
Right.
Dr. Helmstetter said during the first 18 years of your life, you hear the word no, you can't, what won't work 140,000 times. And when I was a little girl growing up, when I say what I'm going to say, you'll probably think that white people adopted me, but I was adopted by a black family. But
Okay.
I heard you're not pretty enough. You're too black. You're not black enough. You're too black in skin color, but not black enough in culture.
Wow.
You'll never amount to anything because you're adopted. Those are the things that I heard growing up. So if I can come back from all of these micro traumas and major traumas, both physical and emotionally, anyone can do it. And so if you're at home and you're thinking to yourself, um, when I talk to myself, it's full of criticism, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and fear. It's no wonder because especially in a Western culture, we hear no, you can't, you're not enough at least 140,000 times by the time you're 18. So, um, yeah, that's something we need to change about our culture so that we can start talking to having better and more
Affirmations, affirming ourselves.
right. But Dr. Hemstettler, I read his book, and I've been able to reprogram my mental computer so that I talk to myself the way I would talk to a friend that I care about or a family member that I care about, with
Right.
compassion and with patience and celebrating them at even the tiniest little steps. I remember when I hadn't left my apartment for 18 months and I took that first step outside my condo, and my dog must have thought I was crazy. Well, she looked at me like she thought I was crazy because I was still using a walker, but I was dancing with my walker. And she said, I don't know what to do. Stop this. Because I was just so happy because I'm an outdoor person. I am a nature person. I have been my whole life. When I was little and growing up and as a teenager, my siblings would say I was an embarrassment. My mother would say I was an embarrassment. They, from age 15 to 16, they sent me to debutante school to learn how to be a lady. And I am a lady. I can do a proper curtsy and I know all the right silverware to use and how to wrap the package and all the good things. But I'm an outdoors person.
Right. Right. You know what, Antoinette, is so funny. I was a debutante also. Now, being in the military, I've always lived in the city. I live in the country now, in the woods, and I feel like I'm alive. It's like nature gives me life.
Yes.
I don't even have to be out in it. If I look out my window, whatever window, I see nature, the trees. And I was sharing with someone the change of the colors, the autumn. Now you all don't have that in.
Yes, we
You
do.
have it. You have it in
Yeah,
Colorado.
we have
Okay.
all the seasons.
There is something about the colors this year for me. They're more vibrant. I'm noticing them. I can't drive without noticing the beauty. It's the life that you're living. When you're not happy, you can't focus on the beauty of what's around you. You focus on the problem. So living your biggest life that you can envision again, it's what you're thinking, what you're telling yourself.
Right.
So, what would you say to someone, Antoinette? Because there are a lot of women, I speak to a lot of women who don't even know how to love themselves,
Yeah.
who are unhappy with the life they live. It grieves my heart. It's hard to even talk about it. But as we were saying, we're both in our 50s. They go by quickly. Life goes by quickly. What would you, having all that you've been through, what would you share with the woman who was not happy with her life and just didn't love herself? Where does she begin?
Well, first, the first thing I want you to understand is how you got where you are, how you got to a point where, because I've been there, there was a time when my therapist had me do an exercise. She told me to look into the mirror and tell myself, my image in the mirror, I love you. It took years before I can look into a mirror and say, I love you. Today I can do it all the time. But I think it probably took maybe 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years before I could look in the mirror and say, I love you. And so um, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the ways that 21st century life has hurt us is that there's an epidemic of suicide, drug overdose, and alcohol
Mhm.
related deaths. Collectively, these are called deaths of despair, deaths where because people lost hope. And it took 200,000 lives pre-COVID 2019. So has nothing to do with COVID. This is 200,000 lives just of Generation Z youth and millennial adults. And also between 2017 and 2019, so many Generation Z youth and millennial adults lost their lives due to deaths of despair.
Mm.
That for the first time in 100 years, the US life expectancy decreased. First time in 100 years. In addition, according to the CDC, 56% of Generation Z youth have talked about being lonely in the last
Mhm.
12 months.
Mhm.
And 1 in 5 millennials say they have zero friends, none. And as we, and I'm a Gen Xer, if you're a baby boomer or from the greatest generation, and as we age, we're being distanced from our Generation Z and millennial family members. And so all of this is creating this epidemic of deaths of despair. And here's what the experts know about deaths of despair. Dr. Nicholas Carderas, in his new book called Digital Madness, he said that psychologists have known, this is a quote, psychologists have known for decades that the best non-pharmaceutical antidepressant is physical activity, walking, riding a bike, jogging, playing a sport. That's why an adventure sports lifestyle is critical to my health and well-being. In
Right.
fact, 2 weeks after I was able to leave my house for the first time in 18 months, I was in a little plastic boat. I showed up with my walker and my service dog and my caregiver, and I got in this little plastic boat and I learned how to kayak. I learned how to roll my boat upside down and roll it back up. I still can't even
Wow.
stand on my own 2 feet yet without support from my walker.
So you were out there with the walker.
Yes, threw that walker down. My dog was like, "No, we're not doing this," and I'm like,
Right.
"Yes, I am, and you're going to be just fine." And that was my start. That was my start to. I've always ate healthy, but I when I couldn't eat at all, it eliminated
Mm.
everything out of my diet except clear
Mm.
broth and water in tiny, tiny sips of each. And then I started adding things back slowly. I learned that I had a gluten sensitivity. I learned that I had other food allergies. I started growing my own food in my organic garden and then canning it and using it later over the winter. I made different decisions about my life. And it's because I became immersed in this adventure sports
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Mhm.
And so I didn't have to count calories. And
Right,
I
right. And you're
even
too
met,
busy to just sit and
right?
eat. You're always busy. You're
And
outside.
I met my partner who's 36
Okay, girl.
down by the river, whitewater kayaking, just doing the things that we love. I wasn't looking for anybody. I moved from North Carolina to Colorado alone, absolutely by myself.
Why Colorado? Because of the outdoorsy. Why Colorado?
You know, I'm an MBA woman. I always use my skills. So here's what I did. You know, I created a spreadsheet, right? So I went on LinkedIn and I messaged everyone in um my network, and I said, if you've ever lived or worked in Colorado, where did you live and what did you like about it? And the reason chose Colorado is because there are no coincidences. A nonprofit organization sent me to Colorado for a women's trip. We're all TBI survivors, traumatic brain injury survivors, and all veterans. And we went on this women's kayaking trip for a week in Colorado. We met in Colorado, and then we went to Utah, and then we floated down the San Juan River, camping and kayaking and rafting for a week.
Okay.
And so I went to Utah, but I also went to Colorado. And when I was in Colorado, I felt like I was in my energetic home. My ancestors
You're
are not,
home. You felt like you were home.
yeah, my ancestors are not from Colorado, but I believe they were mountain people. And when I got into the mountains, and it's the same thing when I ran the Bataan Memorial Death March in White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, when I was in the mountains, I felt like I was home. So I asked my network on LinkedIn about Colorado, and I put all of my criteria. I wanted someplace that had 300 days of sunshine. I wanted someplace that had 4 seasons and blah, 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 right? So I put it all in a spreadsheet. Fort Collins, Colorado came up to the top of the list, and I'm like, I'm moving to Colorado, to Fort Collins. That was it.
Now that took courage. That took courage to move there by yourself. Some are afraid to go to the next state by themselves. Who's going to ride with me? I need a ride or die.
Well, a friend rode with me here, and then she left.
Okay. She had to make sure you got there safely.
Right, because remember, I'm just fresh off of 4 years ago. 4 years before that, I was fresh off of being on my deathbed. So yeah.
And you didn't know anybody in Colorado?
Not a single person.
Not a single person. So you met your partner in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before we go there, when people see you, they see a Black woman. The outdoorsy, the paddle boating, the everything that you're doing outdoor. Do you hear or get questions asked about your culture, where you come from? Why are you out here with the outdoorsy? You are not the average Black woman. Do you ever hear that?
Sometimes, but not where you think, and not from who you think. So,
okay. Those people aren't in Colorado for what?
Well, a lot of people of color are outdoorsy, but really, right, if you believe the statistics, only about 3% of the Black population, 1% of the Black population, 3% of the Hispanic population, and they don't bother to count Indigenous people, multicultural people, or Asian people as a group.
Okay.
Recreate is what I'm getting at, if you believe the statistics. But once in a while, someone will ask, well, because I live in a place where there's only 3% diversity, so I can go like a month or more without seeing another person of color. And when I'm in the deep back country where not even a helicopter can rescue you at some places. So yeah, I was at the height of COVID. I was on a raft on the Frank Church River of No Return in Salmon, Idaho, on the main Salmon River. And another raft pulled up, and I'm sitting in the raft, and this dude goes, so which one of these white people drug you out here to on the river? And I said, well, actually, I won the river permit lottery system, and I brought all these 8 white people to the river. So next question. So once in a while, you'll get someone who will assume that somebody drugged me out here.
Right.
But But when people see that I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, I'm safe, I have the appropriate safety gear, and not only do I am I the executive producer of Whitewater TV. We're rebranding it to call it Adventure TV because I do all of the things, not just whitewater kayaking.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but I teach people how to adopt this adventure sports lifestyle because it's intimidating. It was intimidating for me to show up at a pool session to learn how to whitewater kayak using a walker, and so I remember I almost chickened out. I almost went home. And this man named Brian said, I can tell what you're thinking. You're thinking that you can't do this. But a blind dude just paddled all 277
Oh
miles
my
up
goodness.
the Grand Canyon, so you can do this.
Yes, you can do it.
Get in that boat,
Yes, you
young
can
lady.
do it.
And I'm like, okay. And it's a good thing he said that. Oh, and he told me that the person's name was Eric Weinmeier. And today, Eric Weinmeier and I are not only friends, not only podcast co-hosts, but I'm on the board of directors at his nonprofit, at a nonprofit organization he
Wow.
co-founded. So,
Wow. Talk about
full
full
circle.
circle. My goodness. You know what? While you're talking about all of your adventures, I'm going to share some pictures and you just briefly share as I go through them what's going on or what you're doing.
So this is at archery. And so if there's anyone in your family with ADHD, with anxiety or depression, difficulty focusing, Alzheimer's, who can really use some help with focusing tasks. So after my brain injury, when I turned 40, I don't know what happened. Neurologists don't know what happened. I started having difficulty recalling words, memory loss, um, difficulty reading, focusing on conversation or a movie. I couldn't keep up with it. And they recommended, in addition to other occupational therapies, archery. And it worked. And then I became a bow hunter. And when I was living in North Carolina, I used to hunt deer and donate the meat to the Carolina Tiger Rescue.
Wow. Look at there.
And that's
Okay, now
the ice
that looks
fishing.
cold.
Well, one of the beautiful things about Colorado is that even when it's like 14 degrees outside, the sun is like beaming down on you.
Mm.
So if the sun's out and it's not windy, I really just take off my coat and hang out on the ice in like a hoodie and my ice fishing bibs and boots, and I'm good. But
Mhm.
I love ice fishing. My boyfriend introduced me to it. His family uh, ice fishes all the time, and he learned how to do it as a boy. I have always wanted to learn how to ice fish ever since I saw grumpy old men and they were on the ice in their shack. And I'm like, that looks amazing. I want to do that. And every Black person I know is like, Black people don't do that. But we do that. We
you're,
do
you're
that. And we
you're a
need to
living
stop telling
witness.
ourselves that.
Exactly. You're a living witness. We do that. And the black people who do those things are in those places, which is why we don't see them.
Right.
Okay, there's your baby.
That's my beautiful little service dog, who is an American dingo. We believe that she was found wild in North Carolina, and then she had two homes before she came to be and became my service dog. And she has a vocabulary at last count of 250 words in Spanish and English.
Oh my goodness. Do you still have her even though you
Yes,
don't? Okay,
she's
she's
probably
sweet.
outside.
Okay. All
That's
right,
that's
here's your
my boo boo
boo.
Matt. He's a Marine Corps veteran, and his mother said, so I didn't know my ancestry, and he's Italian and Irish, and I told my uh his mother that I was going to take a DNA test because Matt gave me a DNA test for my 50th birthday, and he's only 36. Did I say that? And
Age does not matter.
oh,
So
it
it's what, a
totally
20
doesn't.
year
And
difference?
you know
20
what?
year?
About 19 years. And
19
so
years. Okay.
and so when I got offered sponsorships, companies thought I was 35. They didn't think I was 33. 53. So anyway,
You take
so
care of yourself. You're
thank you. I
happy,
try.
you're healthy.
It's how you eat, it's wearing your sunscreen. I wear sunscreen every single day. I wear sunscreen for melanated skin so it doesn't turn you blue. Um, and Oh, so his mother and I didn't know each other. We met like 30 minutes before, and we were already finishing each other's sentences. And she, and then I shared with her that I was going to take this DNA test. She didn't tell me this, but she's like, "You are Irish. Not only are you Irish, you are very Irish, but." So when I got my DNA test back, and I'm like, guess what? I'm Nigerian. An indigenous Arawak, and I have ancestry from Spain, but 23% of my people came from Ireland. She's
Ireland.
like, I knew it.
So there's a relation there that you all did not even know. That
Right.
is something. Now, how
Actually,
long?
here's the interesting thing. He and I share 24% of our ethnic DNA is the same.
My goodness.
Yeah. I'm even
My
Ashkenazi
goodness.
Jewish. And there's a chapter in my book where I talk about being cross-cultural, multicultural, a third culture adult because I've been a global traveler and what that all means. And when people would tell me that you're not Black enough, what they didn't have words for is that, and what they didn't understand is that the Black diaspora is not homogenous. We have a range of experiences and hair textures and skin complexions and all of these things. And
Exactly.
when you don't fit a mold
Mold.
of what most people think an African American person should be, even within the Black community, then you get labeled not Black enough. And so
Exactly.
they tease me for speaking so proper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have 3 college degrees. How you think I'm supposed to talk? One of them is a master's. And second, I enunciate because I have a lisp. And if I don't enunciate when I get lazy or tired, then I start to sound like I'm 3. So the things that they were making fun of me for, that I'm trying to act a certain way, it's this is my life. This is who I am. I'm not
Wow.
acting.
Right.
I if you want to understand me, I have to enunciate. And I'm a highly educated woman. How you think I'm supposed to talk?
Exactly. And that's the whole judgment. That's the focus of the current issue of the Other Woman magazine is don't judge her journey.
Yep,
You don't know, people don't know where you've been. They don't know anything about where you're from. They don't know your pains. They don't know your struggles. They don't know how you were brought up. Many people who knew you probably didn't even know that you were adopted until you let them know.
that's
So it's
right.
like, why would you judge? But that's a whole nother show. I'm going to
I
show my
tell people,
favorite picture.
I
Huh?
tell
Go
people
ahead.
all the time, don't judge me till you dance to my stilettos
There you
backwards
go.
and on beat.
There you go. There you go. Or have ridden my horse. Now
or
this
have
is my
writ-
favorite.
or have
Yes,
ridden my
girl.
bow.
I love it.
Yeah, you know what? When I was a little girl, I loved to read. I started reading when I was 4 years old, and I read books about settling the American West. And aside from, how the land was stolen and the indigenous people were almost massacred to extinction, aside from that, I loved the idea of the freedom of living where I live.
Mm,
Where I live, when I look out my window, I see a lake, I see cows and their babies being born. I see horses. I see the mountains. So you get to visit the Rocky Mountains. I look at it every single day
wow.
from
Wow.
most of the windows in my home.
And
And
that is a choice. That was your choice. You
it's
made
a
a
hard
conscious
life.
decision. Yes.
Don't get me wrong. It's a hard life, but I love it because I have freedom. When you live in a big city, you can't be as loud as you want because your neighbors are going to be like, keep the noise down, you're disturbing me.
Right.
I
Right.
I don't have TV. I don't have live TV. I have streaming TV. We sit outside. The female horse whisperer, yes. We sit outside
That's Dr. Winborn, I'm
and
sure.
and smoke meats for like 5 hours, and we're watching the weather. We watch the storms roll in. It starts snowing on us. We don't care. We're still standing in there in calf deep snow. But this is our lifestyle. And these are the things that if you look at cultures who live to be 100 years old and they're happy and healthy and living on their own, they still have their good mind. They expose themselves to extremely cold water. And you know how many
Mm.
times I have been sick since 2013? 3
See?
times.
Wow.
In the height of COVID, like I said, I was on a river with 9 friends in boats in tight situations. I co-founded a Diversified Whitewater, and we taught about 300 people that summer whitewater kayaking, rafting, paddleboarding. And so I was around people, never once got COVID, and I've been sick 3 times in since 2013.
And I believe, this is just my belief, Antoinette, your peace and your happiness, your lack of stress has a major influence on your health, a major influence. So you are caught up, not you, people can be caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, trying to make ends meet. We got to work, we got to come home, we got to cook, got to take care of the children. We wake up and do it all again. It's just a cycle of this constant gotta survive.
Mhm.
But when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're almost forced to live that type of life in order to be able to live the life that you're living now, unless you take it upon yourself to invite the struggle financially and just go against the grain and live the life you want.
You can spend your money on Mimosa Sunday and having an out a two. If I continue to go to Mimosa Sundays with friends, that's like $200 a Sunday,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
outfit and the food and the mimosas and whatever else that we get up to. I just got off that spending cycle. I
Hmm.
bought my outdoor gear little by little. Some of it was used in the beginning. I got a piece at a time. And then while I was out there doing the thing, and I wanted other formerly marginalized people around the world to learn how to get outside and adventure safely and sustainably. And I love talking about how adventure sports is at the intersection of outdoor recreation, conservation, and adventure, and health and wellness. It
Okay.
all comes together. And so I bring people into the outdoors, and then sponsors started giving me stuff. So, and I've helped 8 people from formerly marginalized communities become sponsored athletes. So I
Wonderful.
went, I created an opportunity for myself, and then I reached back and brought 8 more people
Wonderful.
in.
You didn't forget where you came from. You reached back to help. That is so important. So important. Now, someone on the outside looking in, Antoinette, you have a wonderful life. You have evolved into this free bird living in Colorado, doing what you love to do. I always say every day is not a good day. So share some of your struggles, because you're coming from a brain injury and spinal injury. You've got to have some days where, or do you, that you struggle or still deal with some health issues?
Absolutely. So, um, right now I'm in a good place, but over the summer, if you go through my social media, you'll see that I had to wear a heart monitor. I was having difficulty breathing. I had specialists after specialists. 6 cardiologists couldn't figure out the problem, and it turns out I have lupus.
Okay.
But I'm still out there doing all the things. There are some days that it's hard to lift my head off the pillow, and that's why my service dog is semi-retired. I try to maintain most of her training so that she can help me, so that it's not too much of a burden on my partner. But we help each other. He's a veteran too, so he's got, health stuff that he has to manage.
Right.
And we are really good partners in everything. We're adventure partners, we're partners in life, we're partners in health. And there are some days when I have to cancel all my meetings and all my appointments. And if someone is waiting for, I have a deadline with work, they all know, even when I didn't work for myself, I had workplace accommodations. I always went
Mhm.
in with workplace accommodations because there's no way to hide a traumatic brain injury, not the way my injury presents itself.
Right.
You're going to notice it. There's also times when I have struggles with mobility issues, and it's hard to walk. And so on the days when I don't feel well, I give myself loving permission to just do what I can. Some days it looks like I'm just laying in my bed breathing. I don't have a television in my bedroom. So I'm not even watching TV. I'm not on my phone. I'm just focusing on breathing
Hmm.
and just say
Hmm.
to myself, You've been here before. It will get better." And
Right.
some of you at home are suffering. Maybe this is your first experience with suffering, but life is dukkha, Dukkah. Life is dukkha, suffering for everyone. It doesn't matter how much money you have, or how influential you are, or how little money you have. It doesn't matter. Suffering comes for all of us. But the reason that
Yeah.
is because if life were always good, you wouldn't know that it's good. Life is just normal, right? That's why most lottery winners, 1 year after winning the lottery, if you ask them if they're happy, they tell you they were happier before they had the money. Money doesn't make you happy. Look at how many successful people have exploded their life or suffered a death of a I forgot what it's going to call it, death of despair. And it's
Okay.
because they got famous, they got wealthy, they got all the things they thought they wanted, and then drug overdose or other things happen, right? So it's not a happiness is not something you have to find or go out and look for or develop. It's already within you. But if you
Yes.
don't have some bad days, you can't
Yeah.
appreciate the good ones. There's also something called hedonic adaptation, or uh, I think I can't remember if it's. I think it's definitely hedonic adaptation. Yes, it's hedonic adaptation, and what it is, for example, you can have your arm amputated tomorrow, and then within 2 weeks, your body is already used to having part of your arm gone, and it's a built-in lizard brain survival mechanism. But hedonic adaptation also is the reason that you move into your dream house, and then 2 weeks later, you're like, "Oh, I should have bought the house across the street. I like it better." So anyway, life is
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah.
Just know that it will pass, but you have to be your own rescue. Your doctor can't rescue you, your family can't rescue you. It's not going to fall magically from the sky. You have to be your own rescue.
Money's not going to rescue
Nope.
you.
But it's a simple 5-step process to create your new normal. All you have to do is identify what makes you happy, just like I did. I looked at my journals, determine who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world. Find your rope team. These are going to be the folks that you surround yourself with, and they're going to support you during the good and the bad. They're going to celebrate you without becoming jealous, because that is a thing. And then you want to plan how you live your new life and what you're going to do for work and play. Not everybody can be like me. My play and my work are the same. I get paid to recreate. I get paid to write about recreating. I get paid to help recreation companies. You may not find your passion in your work, but find a volunteer opportunity where you can put your passion if it's not in your work. And that really is the secret to creating your new normal and living your best life. Don't try to emulate my life. Don't move to Colorado. It's not for everyone. But figure out where you need to be. Maybe it's right where you are. Maybe you need to move 2,500 miles away from where you live now. Who knows? Maybe you need to find a new group of people to associate with. But you're not going to make friends. You're not going to end your loneliness staring at your screen. Because, like Dr. Cardera said, I don't want to misquote him. Let me go back to this. He said, "We're just not meant to be sedentary, screen staring, and meaning devoid creatures."
Repeat that, please.
We are not meant to be sedentary, screen staring, and meaning devoid creatures. You have to have community. You have to be physically in the presence of other human beings to feel whole, happy, and well. You have to move your body. You have to unplug and decompress, because the consumption of so much information coming at you and the flashing lights and the glow of your screen, it's driving us insane. And you don't have to be about it. Crack a book and read for yourself.
Crack a book. Crack a book. Now, I heard that pick up a book all of my life. Me and my sisters, that's all my father ever preached. Pick up a book.
My parents were old. They were born in the 20s, so they would say crack a book.
But look where it got us. You know, publishing, I never thought that I would be helping others write books, or I would be writing books, or owning a magazine. You truly, all that you said, Antoinette, was just inspiring is an understatement. It's truth. And I just want to encourage everyone watching, please share this video, share this live, this Peeling Back the Layers segment with Antoinette Lee Toscano. We all need to hear what she has been through, how she overcame, what she's enduring now, and living that fulfilled life. So one main thing is not to worry about what other people say when you make those decisions. You've got to get that out of your head and not lose your focus on your life. I remember looking for a home when I moved from Florida to Alabama, Montgomery. I kept looking for places in the country. I wanted a long dirt road that led to my house, and my father would always say, "Why are you always, every house is in the woods? Why you gotta live in the woods?" But that's where my spirit was taking me, Antoinette, and I couldn't deny it. So when I found this place, just like you found Colorado, you felt home. I felt at home. And I've just never felt such contentment and peace. And everything that you've shared is encouraging to everyone. Gloria, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Javon, Deborah, Dr. Winborn, Rosie, Gloria. She just said it, very encouraging. It's all very encouraging. So with the last closing words, the last minute, Antoinette, I'm going to give it to you. And thank you again for sharing your life with us. Thank you for peeling back those layers and taking off the mask. You know, every day is not a good day. So we are going to keep you in our thoughts as you continue your healing process and dealing with, you know, out there with a walker and paddling. That was your first. Who does that? Antoinette Toscano does that.
You know what? There are veterans that I paddle with who have lost one leg. They've lost 2 legs. Some have lost an arm, and they are better whitewater kayakers than I am.
Wow.
I have been with people climbing that don't have arms, but they climb a mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at what the human body is capable, once we set our determination that we're going to do a thing, you don't have to worry about, well, I want to be an astrophysicist and I'm 35 years old and I don't have a penny to my name. I don't know how I'm going to get there. Set that intention. Live your life as if you already are an astrophysicist. And once you're in alignment and you have that intention and you're living that out already, the universe just lines everything up for you. 5 years ago, I thought I was on my deathbed. And now look where I am today. And I am not anyone special. Everything that's within me is within you too. So please tag me, follow me on social media, and tag me when you are starting your journey, when you're having setbacks, when you're having big successes, because I want to celebrate with you. Uh, Sometimes I'm in the back country and I may not answer you right away, but I'll get to you as quickly as I can because I put my cell phone down and silence my smartwatch and I'm fully engaged in whatever it is that I'm doing. But as soon as I have connectivity, I will reach back out to you and celebrate with you because I know you're going to create something amazing and I want to be part of that journey.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Antoinette. Thank you again. And as she said, you all please follow her, like her Facebook page, go to her blog. Go to her blog. Let me put it up one more time. It is just full of encouraging information, the New Normal Big Life blog. And we didn't even get to some of the other things that Antoinette does. So just visit her blog. As she says, follow her, tag her, all those things. And thank you, lastly, just for allowing me to interview you and get to know you and meet you. And I wish you the best in everything that you do. And we're going to stay in touch, definitely. I know we are.
Yes.
So
We
you
need to
guys,
get
thank
together
you.
and ride some horses.
Yes, yes. So you guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking that hour out of your time. And I've got to recognize my sponsor, Attorney Robert Allen. So I am saying good night to you all and thank you again.